I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought at night just for another role.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Well, hello.
Hello. We are here, and welcome to Season 30, Episode 2 of the Happy Jacks RPG Podcast, where we combine friendship, tabletop RPGs, and unbridled enthusiasm to bring you a roundtable discussion based on emails sent in from gamers around the world. I am your host, Kimmy.
I'm Knave.
I'm Jason.
And in today's episode, that was much smoother than it was last week. That was good. We have Daniel from Australia. He asks about getting back in the GM saddle. Forrest comes home and shares experiences from play-by-post games. And Turlin asks about player characters with a mind of their own.
Sometimes the email ends up on the outside of the Terlin.
All right, and announcements. If you'd like to be part of our show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. And let's see. People are saying there's an echo, but I'm looking and it's not saying there's an echo here. Our past podcast streams and everything else are available on our website at happyjacks.org. And you can join our amazing Discord community at happyjacks.org/Discord. Announcements. I don't know if you can tell from what we just said, but we have a new studio and we're still dialing it in. So there's still things that are not going to be great. We're fixing it. We're working on it. I still have an echo. The echo disappeared last time. I thought I fixed it. Okay. Anyway, thank you, chat, for helping. If you have feedback, let us know immediately in chat or send me an email or something. So we realize different people have different places they listen, in the car, on super amazing headphones, or wherever. So give us feedback. Let us know. We'll try and dial it in. If you give us feedback on the actual content of our podcast, take a hike. We don't care. Okay. More news. Game Industry News did a cool feature on this week, which was super neat and very exciting. So you can read that at gameindustry.com. I thought it was nice. What do you guys think?
I thought it was really sweet. It was just nice to see the channel be recognized like that, because we're a little channel, and to just see that kind of recognition felt good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought they did a good job of kind of like capturing our heart and kind of capturing what we're all about.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And they included quotes from me that didn't make me sound like a total idiot. So I was appreciative of that.
No. I actually, at one point I was like, I wonder if, like, Kimmy scripted here's what you may say. But, no. They picked out, a really complimentary, Yeah,
they sent me a whole bunch of questions, and I, wrote them a bunch of responses. And they picked good ones. Yay!
Not that I think you would script an entire, interview response and expect us...
He can't even finish that lie. He can't finish it.
It's a spider in my throat.
I have to admit, I sent 2 emails because I sent the first one with all the answers, and then I thought of a few better, fixes to the answers, so I wrote back saying, also, for this question, please take this answer instead.
Yeah, okay, there, now the truth wins out.
None of those were the ones they used, maybe they were just we're not touching that. Space, please.
It's already written in the time between the two.
Yeah, probably.
Article's done.
Yeah. It was fun. They used a lot of cool pictures from the old days and stuff too. They found our, was it 2019 was our last Ren Fair meetup?
Yeah. No.
Was it 2018? 2019. No. 2019.
It was the 2019 one because I'm in the picture.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the one because Eli missed the picture, so we had to Photoshop him in later. But I couldn't find the finished one where Eli's Photoshopped in the back. So sorry, Eli, we love you. And last but not least, we have a new AP starting on Monday.
Nah.
Can you tell us about that, Dave?
I guess I can. I probably should have thought about some professional way to frame it, but as many people that watch and listen to this show know, I'm a huge fanboy for Free League games. I have enjoyed all of their games that I've played, and there's quite a few that I haven't that I'm still looking to figure out a way to either. There's only so much time in life to start running a new game, or trying to convince other people to be like, yeah, you want to run a game for me? Yeah. Um, but I am going to be running their game called Vaesen, which is a little bit sort of monster hunting, less monsters, more mythical creatures. Just sort of all the fairy tale kind of things that are out there in the wilderness that most people can't see and deal with. Our intrepid heroes can, for some reason. And we get to find out on this Monday why they can, because they all get to come up with their traumatic event that allows them to see and interact with this world. But the game has a really cool mechanic about base building, sort of like Blades in the Dark, but not as complicated, which I like. But each thing that you add onto your base is kind of a cool, like, oh, you could have sworn there wasn't a door there before, but now there is.
Awesome.
That kind of stuff. So it'll be fun. Got really cool people playing. Mitch, who ran a one shot of Chew for us a while back, that I got to play in and had a really good time with. Who is a brave soul because he's calling in all the way from the East Coast, so he's going to be up real late.
That's
for us.
That's a real
So,
paladin right
yeah,
there.
props. And then Kurt Potts that has been on before, running stuff and playing in games. And then Clara and Samantha are all going to be in the game. So I'm very excited because it's a cool group of people. And we had sort of a cocktail hour social get to know everybody a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already off the rails. Like, basically, I was told that if I introduce a supernatural creature, I have to make it very explicit if it's not something that could be dateable. And I went, okay. I was like, all right. So I'll just put a, like a Brazilian steakhouse green red light kind of a thing that I'll hold up on camera, I guess.
You recall Samantha's brand is the one that coined the term unrepentant monster fucker.
Yes, yeah.
So
I get it. And some of them totally that's a viable option. Some of them really kind of ooky. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with everybody. I know me. I know these players. Even if I go for the most serious, creepy, supernatural mystery game in the world, it's gonna end up like horny Scooby-Doo with moments of like super creepy something happens, right?
What a perfect description of just horny Scooby-Doo with creepy moments.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So I hope you're into it because I'm excited for it and it's going to be off the rails. We're taking it a little bit out of my normal style. Normally I like to kind of kick games off with a pre-written adventure from the book. But I had a really good idea to kind of integrate this one with a little out of the setting it's written timeline. So it's going to be set in the UK and Ireland in 1923. So we get to do a little bit of the Roaring Twenties and that kind of fun stuff, but without the overtones of Prohibition or, American gangster culture, any of that. So it'll be fun.
And you're starting this Monday, April 11th.
Yep.
For
in a couple
session
of days.
0.
That'll be session 0. Character
Cool.
creation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to actually take a pause for just a second because they're still hearing a big echo. I'm going to see if I can troubleshoot that for just a second.
Sure.
Okay.
If you're watching live, hang out. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to edit this out so you won't know what happened.
Leave it in.
No. All right, we'll be right back.
I can just sit here and smile creepily.
That was the best time for us to come back in right there. All right, we are still kind of troubleshooting, but we're going to keep going and see what happens. We thought we fixed it last week. Partway through last week, it turned out great. But all right, that was all our announcements. So yes, London Calling, the new.
Oh yeah, that's the title. I didn't even say.
Yeah, London Calling, and it's going to be when? Did you say when it was going to be?
1923.
No, like when the show will be on.
Oh, Monday nights.
Yes.
At 7:30.
7.
7. Yeah, great. 7. I'm on top of that for sure.
Perfect. All right, email 1, Dave.
Nah. Daniel from Australia asks about getting back in the GM saddle. To Kimmy and the Happy Jackers, the king is dead, long live the queen. Stu, thank you. I cannot express how much you have done to entertain me and to inspire me to help bring new generation into the fold, using literally anything but D&D. You've made our hobby a better, kinder place. I could not agree more. Kimmy, I cannot imagine a better pair of hands at the helm, steady as she goes.
That's very sweet.
Have you heard the good word about Notion? Notion is a free or paid for extra features program I've been using for a few years now for both work and RPG notes. It's tricky to describe, except that it does what OneNote does, but I feel like it does it better. I have not heard of it before, but I'll look at it. Lots of features and new stuff being added all the time make it really useful for RPG prep and campaign tracking. It can do quite a few things Excel does, but with less coding knowledge. I like that. Also, take that spreadsheet and transform it into a Kanban board at the push of a button. Make tag arrays and reference them inside that spreadsheet, Kanban board, and so forth. Worth a look, in my opinion. Well, thank you. I will go take a look.
Pause. Kimmy, did you see the feedback that the echo is long?
Yes, it's going to be a thing. I'm not sure I can keep up because I muted the mics. So I think it at least sounds like there's like a slight delay between the microphones that we're going to have to troubleshoot by like putting a delay on the other one. So for now, I'll just try and mute it every second that the other person's not talking. It'll be great. It'll be fine. I can do it.
Okay. Well, it's not you, it's me. How I left Fate and fell in love with Cortex. Well, I'm very interested to see what you've said here because I am a notorious disliker of Fate.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I originally emailed about Cortex just before the crew discussed it on season 29, episode 6. Adam said something that is perfect. Cortex is a pizza. You start off with your prime sets, distinctions, and 2 sets of choice. This is your base, sauce, cheese, oregano. I think you Yankees call it a plain cheese pizza. Here it's called a margarita. We have margarita pizza, but it's not just plain cheese.
Yeah, it's got a tomato and some mozzarella.
We got some basil stuff going on, a little bit of more interest to it.
Basil faulty.
From this essential base, you begin adding flavors. Or don't. Plain pizza is delicious. There's a reason it's a staple item in every pizza place in the country. Yeah, that's true.
Wait, I have an important question, though. So people often say that pizza is like sex, even when it's bad. It's like, hey, it's still pizza, you know? I don't necessarily agree with that notion, but does this mean that Cortex is like sex?
That's an extrapolation. I'm certainly willing to play Cortex and see if it works out that way.
If A equals B and B equals C,
yeah,
then A must equal C.
I mean, I might get in trouble if I play in the Cortex game then. But we'll see. I gotta go home at the end of the day. Like, sorry, honey, I was playing Cortex again.
Who knows?
Who knew? It was just a whole lot of things happened. I didn't know what was going on. Like always, I was having beer, so yeah. When I was thinking about it, it's not dissimilar to GURPS. All right, yeah. I was waiting on anybody else. All right, here we go. In that there are some default assumptions, and then you add and trim as you like. Add in the Ultratech book and a splash of thaumatology, and boom, space wizards. It's a pizza. I like it. I do tend to like a system that has a certain level of genericness to it. I enjoy playing all of the game systems, oddly except for Fate, that are just written to be like, you can do Western, or you can do space, or you can do this, with little like add-in books and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for systems like that. For me, the reason why I don't like Fate that much is I think if you have a universalist type system, it has to have guardrails in place to make all the pieces fit together. Otherwise, you're
Sure.
just jamming the wrong puzzle piece into whatever slot is available,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's weird.
agree
And
with
to
you.
me, Fate didn't have the like follow through of supporting that kind of stuff. It was just like a do whatever you want. Like, okay, I guess we're in a sandbox and I have a force field. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Um,
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I get you. I get you. I'm with you. All right. Getting back in the Game Master saddle. So, as you may be aware, it's been a while since most of us ran a game. Yes. A straightforward question with complex answers. What are your fears and anxieties when you begin a new game or a game with new people? And how do you deal with them? Whew. Okay.
well,
First things first, I know it's kind of a trope of public performers and public speakers and everything, but the day I start a new game and I don't feel like I'm about to puke, I think I'm probably doing it wrong, or I've just given up and I don't care anymore. Because if I don't have butterflies in my stomach going into a first session, I don't know. Like I'm always anxious about it. I'm sure that like Sunday night going into Monday this week, I'm not gonna sleep great because I'm gonna be like, whew, okay, what did I not prepare enough about? Do I not know the grapple rules? Right? Like 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 all of
you
those
never
kind of-
will. You just
I
have to
know.
accept that into your heart and just
Yeah.
you know,
But all of those thoughts are gonna race in my head and I'm always gonna be a little bit anxious about it.
grapple is the mind killer.
Yeah.
We let it pass through us.
But at the same time, I get over that by really trying to immerse my brain in the era, in the setting, in something. So I'll also spend time watching something that's a movie from the time period I'm looking for, or in the general genre of what I'm looking for, right? If I had 6 months before Monday, I might watch Supernatural. But it was on the air for so long, I don't even know where to begin. No, I watched it when it was new,
No,
and then I fell off.
I'll
and
tell
then I
you,
tried to
like,
come
I-
back,
yeah.
and then I fell off again, and then every time they're still making that show.
Never seen an episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, it was so bad, and I loved every second of it.
I had a great time watching it. Especially the first season, I had a great time watching it, especially because it was always me trying to guess what the monster was every week before they are like, "Here's what we're fighting." Yeah, it was fun.
I want to add one thing to the how do you deal with them with the fears and anxieties. At first I thought it was how do you deal with them, the new people. Like, well, just don't invite them.
You're
Just
like,
run the game by yourself with no players. And no, but you're talking about your fears and anxieties. And I will say one of the biggest things that I found helpful that I discovered in streaming games online, but also would do for a home game now, is having a session 0 or even pre-0 where we go out for pancakes or whatever in a zero pressure. We'll talk about the game. I want to talk about the game in that meeting, but we'll just hang out and get pancakes or drinks if you're not morning people, or whatever, in just an entirely social setting, and talk about your characters, talk about the game, have an opportunity to say what you're hoping to do with the campaign, make sure everyone's on the same page with like, how fighty is this? How investigaty is this? What do we want to have our characters accomplish? And just having those kind of open conversations for me have diffused a lot of situations before they were situations. So that fear and anxiety of, well, what happens if somebody does something that's so fucking wild? We cuss on this, right? Okay, good. Because I just fucking cussed again. That reduced my anxiety because I knew we had addressed it, and we'd all talked about the fact that we want to address those things. We talked about that we want to talk about it. And once you have that open line of communication, that's great. Okay, not everyone can go out, take their whole group out for pancakes, like that's fine. But if you're remote, have a call that is just talking about the game, not character creation, not really digging into the rules. Just what do we all want this to happen? And maybe you could do that in the first hour and then go to character creation. Great. Especially if you're playing online. I know everyone's time is like, it's hard to get everyone together. Everyone's got lives and kids and jobs and all the stuff that they need to do. But having that conversation ahead of time, for me, diffuses a lot of the anxieties, because I know we all want the same thing, as in they want what I want because I told them what to want. I'm not a control freak. You're a control freak.
Yes, I am.
So I'm totally not, but
You're not at all.
but in fact, I did this very thing this week. We sort of had a cocktail hour get together, chat, catch up, kind of just a hour and a half where we all jumped on a Zoom call for all the players in my upcoming game. Some of them, I haven't seen or spoken with Sam since we finished our Things from the Flood game a while back.
Yeah.
And just having a little time to be like, hey, how's your life? What's going on? That's an awesome new tattoo. Like, what, like, just that stuff slides you back into that, oh yeah, we're friends. Like, you're not a stranger that's sitting there waiting to judge me.
Yep.
I mean, you might judge me as a friend, and that's fine.
I
but
do.
Yeah. I encourage that. That's fine. But like, yeah, just getting comfortable with people, and in terms of like, you're never gonna be able to prep everything, right? So
Not with that attitude.
and when you try, that's when you get GM burnout.
Yeah, no,
because
I'm not a prepper. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Shocking.
aside from that bunker and all that food.
Well, yeah, that kind of prepper, obviously. I actually saw you can purchase decommissioned missile silos.
Yeah.
For $10,000 or $20,000, like a lot less than a house,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hermetically sealed and has all of the, hatches and.
Interesting.
I mean, they're often very damp and very gross because they've been abandoned for 40
Sure, you
years.
gotta
but
put a little caulk
Yeah.
in there and
sump pumps and
Yep.
the like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
sure, dry
That's-
the place out a little.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean that's absolutely the kind of things I do. It's just like, yeah, I know I'm gonna be a little nervous before the game. And I mean that's less of an issue if I'm just playing at home. Right? In the special circumstance that running a lot of games on the internet, on the plus side, it's super handy to have your game recorded. So when you go to do prep for the next session, you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to that last game because I can do it at 1.5 speed and
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, so here's all the stuff that I missed when I was busy interacting with player 1, and player 2 had some really cool idea that I want to dive back into and I didn't hear at the time.
Yeah, even if you're not streaming it, ask your players if you can record and listen back to the game. If it's like a 6-hour session, break it up, like listen to it in whatever amount of time you need to, but at least the first couple sessions you might be able to get a lot more insight that you didn't pick up while you were running the game. Like Dave said, you're talking to one person, you didn't hear a side conversation or whatever. Not that you can always hear that well on a recording, but even just getting the like, oh yeah, that NPC I mentioned, I didn't write it down in my notes, and they're definitely evil. So ask your players if it's okay to record, or if you're a player, ask everyone. Maybe you're just a player and you're like not great at auditory processing,
Yeah.
right? Like that can be a thing for anyone. I'm dyslexic, so I do poorer with print processing, and I'm audio is my strength, so I have to remember that that's not everyone's strength. Is oral learning is a trick that I learned.
All right, so we discovered part of the culprit of the echoing. So I've been sound treating the studio. Thank you, chat, for helping us work on this. I've been sound treating the studio, but that changes how sound bounces around the room. Evidently, by treating all the walls around us, our sound is now going like straight up and hitting the ceiling and coming right back down on the
I
mics.
told you ceilings were a bad idea.
I know. Gosh.
We shouldn't have them.
Well, thanks to our wonderful friends who sent us stuff from our baby registry, we actually have a whole bunch of great foam to put up there. There's not enough hours in the day. I haven't gotten to that yet. So
Do we have a link to that registry?
It's all full. They did everything.
Oh, they did. Oh
They
my
got
God.
everything. It's
Y'all are amazing. Thank you so
good.
much.
Yeah, like within a week we had everything that
Oh
was on
my
our wish
God.
list. But anyway, so we have very trendy little hats of foam sitting on top of the microphones, and evidently it's helped a lot. So that will be my priority for this week. Will be sound treating the ceiling and putting better looking hats on our microphones, and it'll be great. I also think it echoed a whole bunch in the beginning because I was like projecting, like I was like in the old studio or like on stage.
voice.
I am classically trained, not loud.
Yeah, Joey.
And I think that's why. So pull it back a little bit. Just be a more radio voice.
I absolutely ran into the opposite issue of the first couple of times I saw people in real life emerging from my cave. I'd hang out with people, then the next day I'd be like, God, my throat is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then I realized, oh yeah, I spent 2 years only having to project my voice like an inch and a half to the microphone that I was talking into.
Right.
So yeah, using a volume that people can understand you at 6 feet away.
And Dave follows the ethos of not speaking to one's children. That's just not a thing.
I follow the
father should
ethos
do.
of I don't have to raise my voice to my children because they're good children.
No, not even raise your voice. You just don't speak to them.
That's right.
That's a father shouldn't speak to his children.
No, all it takes is an eyebrow raise of disdain. They know that they have displeased me, and they will fix it.
I project a lot with my students, so my students know they're in big trouble when I get quiet.
Yep.
When Miss Kimmy's like, I'll wait. Just like super low, suddenly like the first 3 rows go silent and the back row is still kind of loud, and then there suddenly you're like look up and they're like, oh no, my gosh, I just noticed your shirt, Dave.
Oh,
That is epic. That's
I
amazing.
forgot what shirt I was wearing today.
It is what we do in the shadows.
people.
Oh, yeah.
It's really very good.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't have Jackie Daytona though, but it has the hat.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Sorry.
Oh, let me finish.
Oh, yeah.
The coda of this email. And with that, I bid thee adieu. Please find attach this email a little treat. As a high school teacher, of course, I attempted, damn you COVID-19, to establish a tabletop role-playing club at school last year. Last year I was running, established the role-playing club at school, period. Last year I was running Monster of the Week for a group of 7 to 8s. And there were 2 groups of senior students. One was playing a Buckwild homebrew setting using Quest, which is free for educational groups. Big props and thanks to the Adventure Guild for the generosity.
Oh, yeah. Quest is great. They're good people.
Cool. I'm unfamiliar. And the other was running a My Hero Academia AU using OVA. That's awesome.
What's OVA? I don't know that system.
Okay.
I'll look it up later. It's fine.
BA.
OVA.
My head went to the old Tristat system, but maybe that's not right.
That's all right.
I don't know.
I will Google.
Nice. The attachment in question is a PowerPoint I made to introduce the students to the hobby. You may find some very familiar advice contained therein. With love, stay safe, stay sane, stay diverse, and may Stork never touch your dice bag. 100% agree. Daniel from Australia.
Cheers to that.
Huzzah. OVA, or I think it's probably OVA, the anime role-playing game from Wise Turtle Publishing.
Wise Turtle Publishing. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The anime system I was always familiar with was the Tristat Big Eye Small Mouth.
yeah.
system from back in the day.
Mhm.
But
This looks pretty cool. It's on Drive Through RPG. If you look at
I'd have to check that out.
Right on.
BESM has some inherent problems that we don't have to go into right now, but OVA son, that's cool.
awesome. Oh, open versatile anime is what it stands
Oh,
for.
sure. And I think OVA is also an acronym for like when anime movies come out.
Yeah,
it stands for something.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Second email. Sorry, I was taking a drink.
number 2.
Number 2. Oh my gosh.
Also, huge props to starting a role-playing club. Introducing people to the hobby is like
Yes.
my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I loves it. So, thumbs up.
It's very exciting. We've had 2 shows where I've gone through the emails, and it's 2 shows in a row so far where it was like people who are GMing and trying to GM with kids at schools and stuff. I love it. It's my favorite thing.
I'm glad they're coming here to talk about it.
Yeah, and more people should, because I think it's something that people should be braver about doing. It's terrifying as a lot of people think it is. Like, it can be fantastic. I feel like it's always like the horror stories about gaming with kids that go viral, especially like they're always on like YouTube and all these things. It's like let's try and make these amazing heartwarming stories also go viral, so people are like, I'm gonna try the thing.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
all right, mailbag number 2. Forrest comes home and shares experiences from play-by-post games. Hello, Kimmy and the crew. After taking a few years to explore other hobbies and interests and listening to other podcasts, I thought it was time to get back to Happy Jacks. Imagine my surprise that upon my returning, I find out Kimmy was taking over the show and Stu is leaving. I wish everyone there the best during this exciting time. While letting RPGs sit on the back burner, I uncovered some truly excellent parts of tabletop role-playing I had not before. I began to run play-by-post games for friends on the internet. This experience changed a lot of how I look at running games in person. These games had a very different feel, with each person involved completing daily creative writing exercises. Everyone I played with spent extra time and care adding additional character flair and internal monologues. You are also required by play-by-posts to give up some narrative control to other people you're playing with. It is far too tedious to wait for every player to decide they are going to the Wizard's Tower. Oftentimes, one player would make a decision and everyone would just go with it. Players who wanted to accomplish something while in town would add that to their post as a flashback. Play-by-post also had me encouraged to find increasingly slim game systems to play in, because frequently people would be playing from their phones on Discord, which brought me into exploring the world of OSR games. These games are usually lightweight clones of older versions of D&D with a do-it-yourself feel. How do you feel the pandemic has altered the way you play games? Do you like I've taken over Stu's job and now I'm reading emails like him. Like I can just the most halting reading ever. I don't know why. I wonder if it's like the headphones. Maybe hearing yourself, that might be. I'm gonna try it for
Yeah,
a
I think
second.
that would fuck me up too.
Yeah, I'm usually much better at reading these than this. How do you feel the pandemic has altered the way you play games? Do you feel like you've discovered new games and ideas because of COVID? See, that 100% fixed it. It was much better. Okay. Wow. Forrest, aka Threes on the Discord. That is, first off, I used to play by post games a lot, and I haven't done it in so many years. With a toddler during the pandemic, I was not able to get back into that, but I've been really tempted. And there's been a couple play by post games started up in the Happy Jacks Discord, and also on my Starscape server that I started for playtesting Starscape, and it's been very interesting getting back to that and how it's sort of it is a creative writing exercise, but a collaborative creative writing exercise, which is similar to what you do at a table. But I don't know. There's an element that's really fun and really interesting about it.
Now, what's Starscape?
All right, we can talk about Starscape in a little while.
That's fine.
That's my PBTA spacey hack. It's fun, but
I used to play in a lot of mushes and muxes. Which is like play by post, but you're chatting in real time. It was like an old school chat room before Discord and all that, and and it wasn't really like IRC if you're familiar with that kind of stuff.
Right.
It was like a sort of coded, you would like write up a description of what your character's doing and what they're saying, and somebody would respond to it. And the nice thing about it was it was essentially in real time, in that if you went into a scene with somebody, you were gonna carry out that scene together or pause it and come back to it. And I liked that more than play by post, because play by post I would lose the thread of the plot and I'd have to go reread everything, and I'm a slow reader, and that's frustrating. And so, but reading the mush in real time, I could read it, come up with what I want to do. I can type faster than I can read, and I could participate in a scene that way. I also practice my writing somewhat, and just became more proficient in that regard. So that was always a really good experience. I had very few unhappy experiences on the mush. And it's actually made, I recently started thinking, I wonder if Discord games are like playing on the mush. They probably are.
Yeah.
And, that it sounds kind of cool.
There's a lot of really cool bots that people have developed for automation of things and stuff for playing on the Discords. It's pretty fancy.
I have some friends, one friend in particular that has played in a play-by-post game for 25 plus years.
Wow.
Like same character, same world. It's passed through multiple generations of people that have run the game
Wow.
and stuff. I have enjoyed some play-by-post things. Some of them veer too far into creative writing and less gaming for me.
Yeah.
Because I like having the framework of like a world rule set to be like, I don't just go nuh-uh
Yeah.
and negate some attack or whatever.
Yeah.
But the last play by post game I played, Pro B Tim.
Oh yeah.
And I had a vampire character that I was very proud of, because I went with I made a Toreador who was like a video game streamer, and
That's
some
amazing.
really old like when you make a character vampire, you can buy in at a lower generation.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing was some really old Toreadors like, I'm current. I know what kind of art the kids like.
I'm hip.
And decided to embrace some random Twitch streamer who was a gamer, and then was like, in the rules, the most powerful player character in our little group, but was also like in real time only like 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So was kind of an idiot.
Yeah, I love that.
It was fun.
That's
Although
amazing.
powerful idiots, sometimes it's a little too close to real life.
Yeah, for sure. But he was a fun idiot. Like,
He
he was the like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull out a Game Boy during like the prince's speech because he's bored.
That's amazing.
And-
That's a good. That's an awesome flex.
I don't know if you remember this, Dave, but the nicest compliment I ever got was from you at the game you were running when I was playing Crash. And I don't remember exactly what elicited this response, but you said, you play the most beautiful idiots.
Aww.
And
I think it came out right after the whole triangle thing.
The triangle thing was very good.
I'm like, I am being completely genuine. That really touched my heart, and it felt really nice. Actually, like, it sounds like something that I'd be facetious about, and I'm not being facetious.
No.
It was genuinely.
No,
I think about that sometimes. It was so
I
nice.
very much meant it, because it sometimes, it's always hard to play a character that's smarter than yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But it's just as hard to play a character that's not as smart as you are, when your brain has figured things out and now you're trying to filter like, well, my character would have deduced that. Like, come on. And you were just on it the whole game. Like, just, what? It was grand. It was wonderful.
I have a really hard time usually with characters like that, except I really loved it when I was Hart.
Heart was amazing.
In your 818 or
Yeah, Vault
Vault
818.
818. That's what I was. I'm
Yeah.
like, not Apocalypse 818. No, but yeah, Vault 818, and that was such a.
Oh, Hart was just like a cherished Labrador.
Yes, exactly. Just like, oh, you're so muscly
Yeah.
and good. Look at you.
Perfect.
All right. So actually, the question at the end: how do you feel the pandemic has altered the way you play games? Do you feel like you discovered new games or ideas because of COVID?
Well, I played less games.
Right.
Step one.
Mm-hmm.
I've really gained an appreciation for. I'm currently playing in just a home D&D game that Bill is running,
Mm-hmm.
and the hours and work that he's put in to really making a virtual tabletop thing like super epic.
He's doing a Foundry, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
wow. That's impressive.
when you go to log in, it shows all the people in the game and how many hours they've been connected to the virtual tabletop.
Oh no.
And all of us players are in the 40-hour range, and that's like our game time,
Mhm.
Right.
right? And Bill is like 130 hours.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And he's crafted like maps with musical triggers and lighting effects and hidden monsters and puzzles and interactive doors that warp you to another part of the map, and
Mhm.
it's just rad. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool. So I greatly appreciate the amount of work that can take.
Mhm.
I don't know if I have it in me to dive into that,
Yeah.
but props to the people that do.
Yeah.
Just like I also feel in real life gaming, the people that put together elaborate miniature maps and stuff for their games, I'm always like, that's so rad.
Yep.
Whew. I could not bring myself to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I that always seemed like something I wanted to do with
Mhm.
at least like with a physical map. I like the artistry of it, the model building, like that seems really cool. And I just I don't know, I don't have the temperament for it, I think. And
Well, my thing is, if I spent 200 hours 3D printing dungeon tiles and painting stuff and crafting in LED lights and magic effects and stuff, we'd start the session and everybody be like, "Oh yeah, remember that pirate ship? We should go check that out." And I'll be like, "Son of a bitch!
yeah.
Damn it!
Yep.
I
Yeah.
did not print out a pirate ship. We're in this dungeon, and that's what we're gonna do today."
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those things hopefully you're going to talk about in the pregame with your players.
Sure,
It's like,
but
hey,
like session to session, stuff like that could
Yeah,
happen. Those
that's
people that
true. That's true.
are like, well, I think they're all going to the Wizard's Tower, so I'm going to prep all the Wizard's Tower stuff. And my luck, we'd get there and be like, well, I don't know if we're ready to fight a wizard.
For me, I think COVID changed the type of games I want to play. There's a lot of games that I just like. Right now, I just don't have like the emotional bandwidth to try and jump into something. Like I don't think I could play like an Apocalypse World game right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm name dropping a lot, but like one of the reasons I wrote Starscape is because, and I didn't realize it till I was like way into the design process, is it's a game about bonding and being close to people in a small group of people in a space when you're all alone.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was like months into the process. Like I had started watching Star Trek and I was like, oh, this has inspired me. Like this is what I want to do, a Star Trek game. And then like I got through the process and I started watching all these other things, and I love Star Trek and it does Star Trek well, but it really does like Farscape really well, or Firefly, where it's like people bonding in a small space and finding safety in each other together. And I don't know if I was talking with you, Jason, or Sam or somebody, and I said something and they said something back to me, and it was suddenly like, when you're in a movie and you do the rack focus thing where it's like you and like the rest of the world like moves around you, and it's just like, usually it's like when you have a sudden realization, and that's what it was. I was like,
It usually has that big like
Yeah.
noise sound effect.
and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, and it was suddenly, it's like, oh, I wrote this game because of like the feelings of a pandemic of that. So I think it's interesting how much it has influenced without even like really realizing it. Both my writing and also the type of games I'm interested in playing. I want to play games where you find safety, where there's like friendships and bonding. I'm not super interested in playing like danger games or where there's a bunch of hit points and stuff like that. It's like, it's not my jam right now. How much of that coincides with me becoming a mom and how much that coincides with COVID, I'm not sure, because those things happen at the same time. So,
Yeah.
¿por qué no los dos?
For how it's changed for me, I don't, I've been open about this before. During the pandemic, my struggle with depression and anxiety really spiked, and there was a period of time where that was really, really difficult. And it may not seem like that because most Fridays I'm out there streaming and doing something like that, and that is because all week I built up the battery power to go and do that, and it was super fun, and getting to do something like that. But for me, it's changed as in I only game on stream. And the type of game I play isn't that important to me, except it has to be easy. I'm probably not going to play D&D just because it needs some prep, right? Like I'm like, oh, don't prep anything, but like in D&D, you should probably look up what a wyvern can do if you're going to have one in the story. Like, I don't know the difference between a wyvern and a baby dragon. Like, I should probably read. But
Why did you think of that very specific example, Jason?
I don't know. But
Inside joke, sorry.
the for me, that's one of the things that's changed, and I encourage people to investigate that part of yourself too, where it maybe if you did feel like not just isolated, but like embracing some of that isolation and be like, you know what, I am just gonna hermit a little bit because I have this much energy and I'm gonna protect it, and then I'm gonna expend that energy in a way that I really enjoy, and then go back to this kind of necessary protection that I needed for myself. And that was good. Like, what I did is what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But it delayed production on my game. It delayed a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. And, as far as how did that alter the way I play games or discovering new games and stuff, I've been kind of on pause for the most part. And so I'm really excited to be back and doing these things in person and bouncing ideas in real time and
Being in the same room together?
yes.
Even if the mics are echoey?
It's a whole other energy.
Yeah.
And the mics get it.
Yeah.
They're like, let's do it twice.
Yeah. One thing I that is a cool benefit that I'm kind of excited about of COVID is everyone's become pretty savvy about online gaming. So one of the things we're kind of talking about, really like investing energy into bringing JackerCon kind of back to the forefront and making it a big event again. And I think that will, especially having participated in it last year. By the way, if you don't know, JackerCon is our like fan-run online convention that used to be like every year, but then like life got in the way and all these things. So we're looking at trying to bring that back this year, and I'm thinking it'll actually make it much easier for people because everyone already kind of knows like how do you game on Zoom for the most part and stuff like that. So I think that'll be cool. I think we'll be able to game with people farther away much more easily in the future. Like there's not even a question anymore. It's like, hey, I'll send you the Zoom link. You don't even ask if somebody knows what Zoom is anymore.
Right. Yeah. There's very little of the like, oh, you're muted, or you're, I don't know how to turn my camera on. Like, yeah, okay. We've all had to do this.
A couple of times, even pre-COVID, I played some online games. A couple of them went audio only, and I realized that I cannot do that.
No, I can't either.
Like,
It's hard.
Props to people that can.
Yep.
That's great, but whoo boy, I had a real rough time.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I don't even have anybody to make eye contact with.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in front of my primary entertainment device in my house.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be a real struggle not to start watching videos of houses that I'll never be able to afford or randomness. I feel like I'm starting to come out of it a little bit, but I went through a significant chunk when starting to do things again, where I was like, because I've never classified myself as either introverted or extroverted. I've always kind of been up the middle of the road, right? And because I very much enjoy time alone, just doing whatever I want and chilling.
Yeah.
I also very much enjoy seeing my friends and doing cool stuff. And I don't feel like either one was a like drain on me. It was like, this is what's happening today. Great. After the time spent in my home for 2 years, I feel like all of that extrovert side of me had atrophied to the point where, like, anytime there was any kind of social thing starting to happen, I would just sit there like, all it takes is one other person to cancel.
Yeah.
Like, like, up until the minute I'm leaving my house, even still, I have a little bit of the, like, maybe the internet will be out at Kimmy's. And we just can't do the show tonight, and I'll just stay home. It'll be fine.
Well, and to be fair,
To be fair.
To be fair.
you have a longer drive.
Well, yeah, but it's not even that. Like, it could be about a game I'm playing online with people. Like, I'll be like, I don't have to go but 10 feet over to where my computer's sitting to play this game, and I'll be like, man,
Yeah.
30 minutes, and it's almost like the having to be somewhere on a schedule was enough to push me into, like, oh.
I'm getting
And then
better
once
about
I
that.
get there and start, I'm having a great time, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, that was my big hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, I've had that experience even on my Friday streams, where like I finished school and I'm exhausted because I taught 7th graders today, and it's just like I'm like my battery is empty, but I am energized by it. Like I'm an entertainer at heart. Like I want to be an entertainer, and so there have been times where I made myself go online and felt better.
Yeah.
You know, for having done a couple hours of like doing something fun and interacting with someone and doing that. So I get it. You know, that feeling of like, I know if I just make myself get there,
Yeah.
I will have fun. But right now it does. Yeah, that's a tough
For sure.
wall to hurdle.
I have also developed a huge hankering to be an evil GM.
Wow.
Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not even going to be that guy in this new Vaesen game.
You
Yeah.
just want to be.
I very much want to run a game full, like, specifically, I think it came down to, like, the reinvigoration of my love of Dune and Dune-related things. And then the Modifius Dune game came out, and I read that, and I was like, yeah. And then I watched the movie, and it was great. And I was like, ha ha. But I would love to run a game like that where, like, I'm specifically supplying NPCs that are trying to fuck up the party.
Yeah.
Like, not...
I felt like Alien gives you that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
as well.
that too. Yeah. Like, I very much, at some point... Stay tuned, because I'm going to put in to run one of those for sure.
And I feel like if you sit down to play Alien and you don't automatically think you are in great danger from the start, I don't know what you did. Like, what did you think you were signing up for? Right. And again, you should talk to your player group about that and let them know you might die. In fact, let's put a probably on that.
Yeah.
You probably might die.
And for sure, it's not something that I would try and conceal ahead of time. Like,
No.
oh, everybody, let's play a happy-go-lucky Dune game,
Yeah.
and we're all gonna be friends.
Gotcha.
Saduka. No, like, like, no, it would be a thing like, yeah. I would talk that over with players for sure. But I do kind of have a hankering to run a game like that.
I can see it.
Just to be specifically, just throw terrible things at a group.
Yep.
And not just like, I really want you guys to succeed, but like, no, I want you guys to suffer and then succeed. Like, yeah.
I mean, but that's, you could still be a fan of the players.
Sure.
And give extreme challenges, and that makes, I mean, that's like good story writing, right? You know, like if there are no challenges in the story, like we just read someone's journal, I guess, you know, like that's fine. Like you need some conflict, and the greater the conflict, the greater the success, and you know, that's built into narrative storytelling.
Absolutely. Being an adversarial GM is fine if everybody agrees to it up front.
Yeah. If everyone knows that that's what we signed up for,
Yep.
and I am not going to pull any punches, and I'm going to throw everything I got at you, and you better come at this as smart and lucky as you can,
Yeah.
because who knows?
That could be fun.
Yeah. It didn't happen when I ran Shadowrun 100 years ago on the channel, but we went into that, and I told everyone, like, I'm not, like, if we're going to play Shadowrun, we should probably play it like this.
Wait, you wanted to run it by the rules?
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was going to say we should probably let it be deadly.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And, there's a very clear way to deal with health and getting killed. And then they just made a lot of really smart decisions and lucky rolls.
Yeah.
And no one got killed. Oh, spoiler, sorry. But, we were doing those rolls behind the scenes of like, okay, we're going to be harsh about this. And everyone knew, and we had that conversation ahead of time, and some people got pretty messed up a couple times, but, they were able to follow through and get fixed up, and
that's what they signed up for.
Yeah.
One of my ideas for this is actually the Alien RPG,
Ooh.
but to run it on like a colony ship with a ton of people that are in hypersleep. And if a player character dies, they can wake up somebody else.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
And have it be like,
Yeah.
because people are gonna die, but there's 3,000 of them, so just wake up the next one.
But there's only enough life support to have 5 people awake
Right,
at a time.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they're trying to deal with bad stuff. Yeah,
That's amazing.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to worry about killing people.
Yeah.
I still feel bad that I killed a kid when I did the crossover Tales from the Loop Aliens universe.
Yeah.
But there was no way around it. It was like you're in a tiny space with one of the xenomorphs. Like,
Yeah.
what
Anytime
is it?
xenomorphs are in it, like you just know, like that's
Yeah,
a chance.
it's what
Yeah.
it's gonna get.
All right.
All right. Mailbag 3. Torlin asks about player characters with a mind of their own.
You were very excited about this email.
I was. Yeah. I specifically dibs to this one.
Yeah.
Greetings, Happy Jackers. First, a shout out to Stu for giving me so many hours of entertainment and GURPS love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Second, a hearty round of applause to Kimmy for taking up the mantle and keeping the flame of Happy Jackerness burning bright. Kudos, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, on to my question. A few episodes ago, the topic of immersion in RPGs came up. I had actually written to you guys about it many years ago, and my letter got read, but Jib misunderstood what I was asking, and the discussion ended off in the weeds.
What?
What's up, bruh? That can't...
That's
Right.
not a.
Well,
no. Yeah.
since the topic has popped up, I thought I would try again. Immersion is awesome. Partly because of how deep into your character's head you can get, but also because when you're in that zone, the character can surprise even you. This is why I wanted to read this.
Get in the zone.
Writers often complain that you can't get James Bond to step in front of a bus. What they mean is that the character has become so well defined that they can't find a way to write it doing things that go against that definition. Hence my story of Kat and Ian. Super team members. Ian did something to demonstrate a total lack of trust in his teammate Kat. Her feelings got hurt. She was thinking about leaving the team. The GM talked about it with myself and the other player. It was decided that the GM's PC/team mom would bring Kat and Ian together. They could talk it out, hug, and then we'd move on. All were agreed. However, when we all got into character, it all fell apart. Ian said something that triggered Kat, who retorted with something back, and it spiraled out of control. Before we knew it, the GM was looking at the two of us, dumbfounded. We sat back, stunned. Although the players had a perfectly good idea of what was supposed to happen, when we got into character, it went totally off the rails. Not due to dice rolls, but just the characters not doing what the players wanted. This is so real. it would have been like in Kimmy's immersion example of her PC and Abria's, where they were going to raise the other's children. Except once they started role playing it out, the characters refused to do it. So my question, have you any examples of times when your character refused to do what you wanted it to do? The player had a plan, but the character balked and went off the rails. When James Bond refused to step in front of that bus. Thanks for all the great gaming talk. I look forward to years more. Torlin.
Yay.
P.S. Shout out to Abria for her celeb GMing gig with the Critical Role crew.
Woo!
I was listening to Critical Role and said, wait, I know that voice. Great job. And it absolutely
Yeah,
cheers
she
to
killed it.
that.
It was amazing. Woohoo. I actually have 2 examples of this. The first is an opposite example. So when I played my Ventru in Stu's Mode of Sin game, I did the opposite. I drove as Kimmy and not as a Ventru. So, because I was so busy in my head of thinking like, oh, I want to make sure that Stork's character gets along with Mac's character, and I failed miserably. But like, there was so much of me trying to manage the game that I feel like Adrian, the character, never got to drive, or very rarely got to drive. The opposite, I feel, in our Dead Rain game with Jita and I playing sisters. Holy shit, were we like real sisters? Like a lot. Like there were times where like you and like Dave was co-GMing it with Stu would just stare at us.
Yeah.
And there's people who've written in being like, the role play in that game is so good. I can't listen to it because it reminds me of my family. So I feel like there were times where I, as Kimmy, was like, we're being attacked by zombies. We need to get out of here. And my character, Jolene, was just like, my stupid, and they're just like yelling, like cat fight, like angry at each other. Why couldn't you just do this? Just like Dad. Gosh, you just do everything like Dad. Like, and it was just amazing, wild role playing that I just feel like we're not in control. It would happen and I'd say something and her character would say something back that I knew my character wouldn't just be able to ignore. So I feel like there's extremes in both directions where like the player's too much in control and then like when the character's too much in control.
Yep.
Stu and I just got to sit around for chunks of that game because we're like, cool.
Hours of that game.
Like,
oh man.
And then we'd be like, there's some bad thing over here, and then just sit back and be like, cool, they're gonna murder each other for 2 hours.
I also have like a dual example of like wanting to be the bad boy of Hype High. Failed miserably.
It was so cute.
I the player am not great at playing the bad boy character, and so that character ended up being more just driven by sort of decisions I would make in a video game RPG. You know, like it was fun. I had a really good time playing that game, but for some reason I couldn't make him do the like stuff I had originally planned. Like when we were all planning our characters and did character creation, I was like, okay, this is what I'm shooting for, and everyone did give me side eye of like, okay, buddy,
Good luck.
which is fine. I deserved that second guess. But in
I wanted to point out, like, he still came off as an amazing character. He wasn't the true bad boy you wanted him to be. He came off as like the good person with a heart of gold who was trying to be a bad boy, but he still was a great character.
All
Like
right.
I very close to my heart. So I'm going to defend your character for just a moment. But you're right. It was not what you intended.
and the oh crap, I forgot what the other example I was going to use. If somebody else has something, I'll try to think of it again,
Interrupted.
but,
My example of when me as a person wasn't able to make my character as evil as they should be was when Abria was running the D&D game you were playing in, where you had just gotten the haunted house, and she brought in Rob and I
yeah,
as foils.
Was that Dragon Heist?
yeah,
That was okay. I couldn't remember the name of the game. But our whole intention was that we were running a con on you guys the whole time, and it was supposed to be way more evil but I like there was a whole thing about trying to seduce your husband and others, and I'm like, I can't do. They're so happy. Like I can't. That's not. I'm just gonna steal the deed to the house. Like that's good enough. Uh, but yeah, like there was a whole plan. Basically, Rob and I watched the Michael Caine, Steve Martin movie, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels,
Oh yeah.
and that was the basis of our two characters. Right?
Sure.
Was we were both con people that were like, we're gonna run this complicated shell game of a con to try and rob you guys for everything we could, and then just fade away. Because we had 2 sessions to show up and be like, ha ha. But yeah, I was not near like we had prepped a lot more terrible things to do that we didn't end up doing because I was just like, I don't feel good. I don't like it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's some of the trouble I had with the bad boy thing, you know, where I was like, I want to do this, but I can't. Like, I'm not gonna have fun if I execute on this.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking up our shows because I'm trying to remember what I was playing in. Oh, I know. I was actually surprised, and I guess I shouldn't be, but when I swung into the what was the Changeling game that Adam was running?
Clockwise Court.
Clockwise Court. I snuck in as a guest and then stayed for several episodes, much to Kimmy's dismay. It's a thing that I do. I can like
just
I
stay.
sneak in and then I cling to the walls. Like, haha, I'm in.
You can't dislodge me.
Yeah.
Ha ha.
But when so I was like, okay, this is great. I have a hard drinking, hard smoking, unicorn satyr, you know, sort of swashbuckling air pirate. I was like, that's fine. That character won't take over my mind. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I'm not interested in pirates or pirate stories or I've never really looked into unicorn lore. I don't know what they're about. But for some reason, this character just went off on his own. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, so a lot of stuff that happened there was partly because I was a guest and I hadn't planned ahead. And I honestly didn't know what was going to happen half the time. So that was fun. It wasn't that the character was doing stuff I didn't want him to do. I just didn't know what was going to happen. And so that was actually one of the most sort of improv-y experiences that I had because I even didn't prep for my character. As a GM, I don't prep much, but that was kind of a fun experience. I don't know that I've had many experiences. I do know I have had the experience of like, oh no, I shouldn't do this, but my character would. The problem with that is the refrain of, but it's what my character would do can be extremely disruptive to to everybody else's game.
Yeah.
And so if something like that is going to happen, hopefully you'll check in with the rest of the people at your table and be like, but it sounded like you had a lot of buy-in with the person specifically. I mean, I'm not speaking about Torlin in this case, but to anyone else who's like feeling their character get away from them a little bit, it may be a good idea to check in and say like, I think this is going in this direction. I hadn't planned on that. Is everyone okay? Like, and hopefully your table is also has an open X card policy and everyone has that option. But it can be interesting. Like feeling your character kind of get away from you and do something unexpected is wild.
Yeah. I think it's easier when it's a one shot or if you're guesting. And we actually had this conversation with people in the Discord the other day about driving characters like you stole them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easier to do that when you're just jumping in for a short. You know what it is, and like 10 Candles is a great example.
Oh,
These
yeah.
small little things, or a con game where you know it's a one shot, because you don't put as much time into like planning the character and like bonding with the character. So it's easier just to be like, I'll do whatever, it'll be great.
Yeah.
But it's a very fun experience.
I think the character for me that got most off the rails was in that Kurt's Lighthearted game. Because I ended up playing way outside my type range, and then I kept like discovering.
Tell us a little bit about the character.
Well, he was sort of, well, he was like very goth leaning, like super attractive guy that was poly essentially. Like he was just, he was more like Pan, and you know, he was just everybody's fair game. Like
Sure.
I'm into everybody. Like I've got a lot of me to share, and I want to share it with everybody.
They deserve it. The people deserve
for sure.
it. Yeah.
And the like, I kept behind the scenes. I kept checking in with the other players to be like, I don't like. He started to have some feelings for Clara's character, and I was like, is that cool? Like, because he was just impressed with her, and that was enough to be like, oh, yeah, okay. But then, like, through the campaign, like, at one point her character got hurt, and he thought she was dead, and then he, like, character-wise, he lost it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go completely off the rails into using whatever level of dark magic I can to hurt people, because I am enraged at that point. And I was just like, oh, yeah, he would do that, like, for sure.
Yeah.
He's like, you've hurt somebody I care about now, so I'm gonna burn down the world. Which was weird, because that's normally not my jam. But
Sometimes you get.
yeah, it
I
was.
think that's one of the cool things about these games. Like we get to explore these sides of ourselves that we wouldn't, and sometimes that leads to surprising places.
For sure.
Yeah. Dirk asks, "What about 2 in 2 days? Was that not the character getting away?"
I felt like I knew that was in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I literally approached it like, well, I'm gonna play a samurai as played by Falstaff, right? Like
You did.
that was the character, and I was like, he's gonna be loud and a drunk and obnoxious, and that's all in there, and totally not, you know,
Accidental.
the completely respectful samurai archetype at all. So yeah, like making a big promise like that. Yeah, I mean, it came out. I wasn't really expecting it. It just was like, yeah, like I did the math in my head. Like, well, it takes us this long to get out there and this long to get back. So yeah, 2 days. And then we all know where that ended up.
There's a moment where the player does a bunch of math in their head and the character does no math in their head. 2
Right.
days. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
For sure. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, Crash did a lot of math in his head. That was
A lot. No.
Sure.
No.
Learn the Pythagorean theorem.
Yep.
Because that's what you need to figure
Yep.
out the triangles.
Yeah. You can find anything if you use triangles.
All right. Are we good? Are we wrapped?
Yep, that was the PS. Yep, we're good to go.
All right. So thank you everyone who wrote in today. Thank you all for joining us for season 30, episode 2 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Kadave!
I'm Jason.
Thank you to James B for moderating our chat tonight. And thank you to our amazing Patreons who are keeping us ad-free and independent, which is a new thing we're trying. We want to just like see if we can like keep the whole thing going, minimal costs, and not have to worry about getting ads from anybody or sponsorships from game companies that are publishing things. So we can just be super blunt about how we feel all the time.
Yeah.
So which is great. All right. And we are going to leave you with a song today. This song I'm very excited about. So this is...
Okay, I'll sing.
Ready to go. We found out last episode that Dave can sing. We
I
haven't
knew
heard it
hidden
yet,
this.
but
I knew-
allegedly.
I knew that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
He's singing in a choir.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of people who sing in
Okay.
choirs. Sorry, that sounded super judgmental. So I take it
I
back.
love it. That was great. Well, there's a lot of people that have sung in choir.
Yeah, fuck you,
And
choir people.
woo-wee.
That's why everybody sings together. Okay, come on. we all know where the chorus stands in theater, people. Come on. Where's Joey when I need him?
Oh my god.
Okay. Anyway, This song is 1,000 Lives, but it's a cover by the Mary Sues. So this is a song that Stu wrote with an additional verse written by this amazing person named Kimmy Hughes. So the third verse is the one I wrote. And this amazing band, which I happen to be in, you can find at marysuesband.com. And I think that's everything. So we will leave you with the song. If you hang out, you can see, if you're watching the video, our first Patreon credits. If you're a Patreon and your name isn't on it, it's because you didn't fill out the survey I sent you. Do your homework.
Go check it. Get the recognition you deserve for being awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for giving us money. Now do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. That's very on brand. Come on.
I know.
All right. We love you all. We'll talk with you later. Bye. Bye.
I've lived 1,000